A woman stands in a room where 72 objects are laid out on a table in front of her. Although she is the artist in this performance, in this case, she will not be the performer but the object of her performance. The audience walks into the room and are met with the following instructions. On the table, there are 72 objects that you can use on me at your will. I take total responsibility for 6 hours. Some of these objects give pleasure, some give pain. When asked about her performance, the woman recalled, "It was a terrible experience. I was just a thing, elegantly dressed and facing the audience. In the beginning, nothing happened, but then the audience became more and more aggressive. It is hard to understand why anyone would put themselves through such a treacherous experiment, but once we look into the artist's background, we find some clues to what might have driven her to this daring type of art. Born in the city of Belgrade in 1946, she emerged as a product of Yugoslavia during a period of grave uncertainty. The aftermath of the Second World War had ravaged the nation, exacting a tremendous toll of over $45 billion and approximately 1 million lives. Among these tragic losses was the horrific genocide of more than 500,000 Serbians, Jews, and Romanis, perpetrated by the Ustaša, a Croatian fascist and ultranationalist terrorist organization. Having been invaded by the Third Reich, the monarchy was dissolved and the royal family exiled. In its place, a communist federation came into power. Amidst the confines of the Communist Federation, Marina's parents fought during the Second World War. Her mother came from a very wealthy, powerful, and deeply religious clan, her father from peasant stock. They fought together and were awarded the Order of the People's Heroes and were given positions in the post-war Yugoslavian government. She lived a hard childhood despite her family's status, which she described as being red bourgeoisie. Her parents quarreled constantly, and she was often beaten by her disciplinarian for supposedly showing off. The brother of her grandfather was the patriarch of the Orthodox Church and revered as a saint. She recalls, "Everything in my childhood is about total sacrifice, whether to religion or communism." She considers this to have been the source of her immense willpower. She mentions in an interview that despite what people might assume judging by her work, she is a quiet, ordinary woman, product of her strict upbringing. She abstains from drinking, smoking, and any form of drug consumption. "I am probably," she says, laughing, "the most boring person you could meet." Even as she began her work as a performance artist, she had a strict curfew, which meant that even though she had begun to bleed and cut into her skin in her performances, she had to do so before 10 p.m., or her mother would report her missing to the police. Her roots, cut off by the disintegration of her country and her upbringing, molded by a devout, unbending, and sacrificing family, have undoubtedly shaped her into the artist she became. Through her work, we can catch a glimpse of her past and of the trials she endured and overcame. The pain and stress to which she submits her body in many of her art portrays the deep resilience she gained along her life's path. One such work of art happened in 1974 and became one of her most known performances. Marina Abramović's Rhythm Zero offers a compelling lens through which to examine the contrasting philosophical views on human nature presented by Thomas Hobbes and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Hobbes famously posited that in the state of nature, human beings are driven by their inherent selfishness and competitive instincts. According to Hobbes, given that men are naturally self-interested, yet they are rational, they will choose to submit to the authority of a sovereign in order to be able to live in a civil society which is conducive to their own interests. In the context of Rhythm Zero, this perspective aligns with the moments of aggression and sadism displayed by some members of the audience. The presence of potentially dangerous objects, symbolizing the absence of societal constraints, revealed a darker aspect of humanity consistent with Hobbes's view. Abramovich provided to the audience the freedom to act as they wished without suffering consequences or punishments. This further proves Hobbes' theory due to the fact that the reason the performance got to extreme expressions of violence was because there wasn't a higher power keeping people in order. The audience taking advantage of Abramovich's powerlessness and disregarding her well-being could prove that it is human nature to be primarily motivated by a pursuit of one's own desires, even if it is at the expense of others. Conversely, Rousseau's theory suggests that humans are inherently good and that society corrupts them. In Rhythm Zero, the instances of compassion and natural empathy exhibited by certain participants resonate with Rousseau's belief in the innate goodness of individuals. This side of human nature emerged in response to the vulnerability of the artist, symbolizing the potential for kindness in the face of unchecked power. The violence and sadism exhibited by some of the participants can also be seen as a result of the aforementioned societal and environmental influences rather than innate human nature, therefore aligning with some of Rousseau's ideas. At the beginning, the behavior of the audience was calm and polite, but as time passed, it became bolder and more aggressive. It can be argued that the public initially didn't have ill intentions, but were corrupted by their surroundings. Therefore, they acted according to their environment. Abramovich's performance serves as a dynamic exploration of these theories. It unveils the multifaceted nature of humanity, where the audience's actions mirror the coexistence of selfishness and benevolence. Not only challenges traditional notions of power and control, but also underscores the complexity of human behavior in response to circumstances, offering a tangible reflection of the enduring debate between Hobbes and Rousseau regarding the nature of man. This performance showcased the duality and complexity of human nature, demonstrating that it is not uniform and that humans are capable of being both selfish and altruistic.